U.S. private passenger auto insurers recorded sizable underwriting losses in 2021, and the negative trends have continued this way in 2022. Here to discuss an AM Best report on the personal auto segment is David Blades, Associate Director, Industry Research and Analytics. And David, according to the report, the private auto insurers have struggled to stay ahead of the headwinds. Is there a confluence of events, or is there any one thing that you might be able to point to that's driving those results?
I think if there's an epitome of a line being affected by a confluence of events, this will be at private passenger auto. I think when you look at the main risk factors that have been causing the deterioration in the results that we've seen even through the third quarter of this year, you got rate inadequacy, and that's coming through in the results, some adverse reserve development. But just if you look at the results being posted from top to bottom, the insurers, private passenger auto insurers, the fact that the rates don't seem to be adequate for the rising claim costs, that's a key factor right there. Just the inflationary pressures that we're seeing on claim costs. Obviously the technological advancements in cars is causing claim costs from a physical damage perspective to increase, and as I said, rates haven't really been kind of keeping up with that. You've got this whole supply chain issue and how that's slowing down the overall claim process, causing used cars and even rental cars to car costs to go up, and that's adding to the overall claim costs that auto insurers are dealing with. And also, we've seen some negative sort of driving habits come out of the post-pandemic era, or actually probably started in 2020 during the pandemic, when we started to see higher fatality rates. 2020 roads were more open because there were fewer cars on the road, but now even since then we're seeing, for the cars that are on the roadways, we're seeing just more of them traveling at higher speeds, more speeding, and we're seeing that result also in higher fatality rates. Distracted driving also playing a part in that. So you look at all those things, and like I said, there are even some other factors that are involved. Truly a confluence of events that have been causing the deterioration in the private passenger auto market.
Do you think insurers will be able to turn things around simply by raising rates come renewal time?
I think it's going to be tough just by raising rates. If you look at it, like I said, some of the factors are just fundamental factors that need to be addressed from an underwriting perspective. When you talk about again, drivers that are driving at higher speeds, distracted driving, some of those factors aren't just going to be addressed just because companies got a rate increase. I think more things from a societal standpoint, from a regulatory standpoint, are going to have to help, even from a legislative perspective, help from that perspective. I think when you look at insurers having to file rates, then get them approved in order to then implement them, that also plays a part in how soon those companies are able to address the deteriorating trends that they see, or the negative trends that they see, and how fast those steps that they do take can manifest themselves, hopefully. We still have issues from a supply chain standpoint. There's talk that we might finally start seeing the issues with the supply chain really show some notable improvement, maybe by the third quarter of 2023, maybe by the end of 2023. But obviously, they're still going to have a negative impact until that point on claim costs, or they'll continue to have that negative impact. So I think just rate increases by themselves are not going to spur the immediate turnaround. I think, again, some fundamental improvements in addition to underwriting and pricing change are what's going to be needed.
So there's a whole lot of companies that write auto insurance. Are these challenges across the board, or are the bigger companies able to blunt the results?
Well, I think if you look at, and we did look at in the report, let's look at the top 20 writers of private passenger auto in terms of net premiums or even direct premiums written. 10 of those companies produced combined ratios above 100, meaning that they're losing money or they're losing more than $1 for every dollar that they take in. So we've seen that, and that's half of the top 20. So that has some of the behemoths, obviously, of the market in there. So it's the leaders obviously aren't impervious to the issues that are impacting the private passenger auto market. I will say that for those 10 companies that produced combined ratio over 100, 6 of them saw their 2021 or saw their results improve at least in 2021. So again, even though the overall result wasn't good, at least it did show some improvement. So I think, there's no magic elixir just to being, the largest writer in the business, or the largest writers in the business. They have to make this, it's the same, almost use a sports analogy, the same blocking and tackling that they need to apply, or that any insurer needs to apply in any line of business to make sure that they're successful. Good risk selection, adequate pricing, good claims handling, overall efficient operations to keep your underwriting expenses down. That's what these companies have done for over the long term. But again, the problems that have been plaguing the private passenger auto market, and as we mentioned earlier, just the myriad problems. The top writers, just because they write the most premium, have not been impervious to the pain that's being felt in the marketplace.
So this segment, as you know, is well known for its advertising, especially by the top writers. Is there any correlation between ad spend and what the results are?
Well, I think the companies that spend the most in advertising, they pretty much match up company for company, maybe not in the same order, but company for company with the companies that produce the most premium. So those, whether it's the Progressives, the State Farms, the USAA, those companies have been producing the most or have been spending the most, putting the most financial resources into advertising, and they are the ones that, they've been doing it to protect their brand, obviously, and they've been successful at that because they've been able to maintain pretty much their market share. Again, you might see some movement within the top 10, but in generally, they've been able to stay in that area. But of those companies that are in the top 10 over the let's say the last, since from 2011 to 2021, so that's actually 11 years, six of those entities have generated a combined ratio, an average combined ratio over that time period over 100. So again, you're looking at the leading carriers, you're looking at a long time frame, and you're still seeing that 6 of the top 10 have generated combined ratio over 100. So again, meaning that they're not generating profitable or favorable results.
So what will it take for this segment to find stable footing?
I think more manifestation of more sophisticated pricing algorithms, and I think fine-tuning those algorithms and combining them with good risk selection and disciplined underwriting, I think it will help from a fundamental standpoint chip away at some of the unfavorable results. I think the companies are going to have to really assess their portfolios, see where again, they might have to change some of their risk selection or some aspect of their risk appetite. I think they're also going to just have to address and more effectively address where we're seeing claim costs rise. And again, some of the claim costs are rising because of inflationary pressure. So there are economic reasons for this, and the companies have to be even more effective at addressing those issues in their books and in their underwriting. And in their pricing specifically, to make sure, okay, if claim costs continue to rise and hopefully at some point level out, to make sure that the premiums that they're charging are more effectively addressing, the way that those costs are rising. So I think, we'll see, and we talk to these companies all the time, our rating analysts, they've put some of the, taken some of the steps and put some of the measures in place. We'll have to see how that stuff plays out.
David, it's always a pleasure to speak with you.
It's always a pleasure to speak with you, John.
You can find the full report online at ambest.com. For AM Best TV, I'm John Weber.